All right, so today is a Friday, the 27th of March 2026. Now, as usual, we'll start with the fundamentals, then we'll go to the technical. On the fundamental side, we're expecting a news by 8 a.m. this morning, and that will be the retail sales from the United Kingdom. Retail sales is a major economic indicator. Let's clear the details. It measures the change in the total value of inflation adjusted sales at the retail level. And actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. Good morning, Madam Monaji. Good morning, Ekwe, and every other person. Pardon me if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. So actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So by 8 a.m. this morning, there's a forecast already given, which is minus 0.6%. If the actual comes out greater than minus 0.6, maybe 1% and above, then we'll be looking at buying the British pound. And if on the other hand, the actual is less than the forecast, less than minus 0.6, we'll be looking at selling the British pound. And later today by 3 p.m., there'll be revised UM consumer sentiment from the United States. Now, this is not really so volatile an event, so I may just not bother. But because it's end of week, it's possible end of the week volatility might also push it. So that's why we can't ignore it altogether. Again, this data measures, let's check the information. It measures the level of a composite index based on surveyed consumers, and actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So when the data is released, the forecast is 53.9%. If the actual is greater than 53.9%, we'll buy the dollar, and if it's less, we'll sell the dollar. All right, but the major focus this morning for fundamental is the retail sales from the United Kingdom. That's the major one. So we go to the chart. We've taken note of the fundamental to expect. We now want to look at the technicals. We want to align technical with fundamental. And I'll start with the dollar index. Now, I've maintained a bearish outlook on the dollar index right from the beginning of the week, and I still maintain it even up to now. Now, this week has not really been a very good week like that. We've seen a lot of range, many financial assets, but notwithstanding, I mean, in technical analysis, we trade what we see. Now, this is the dollar index on the daily time frame, and price, has been trading around this previous resistance, or let me say price hit it earlier on. And we've not had a major breakout to the downside in the recent of it. But the candles, we're seeing a rising wedge pattern and a couple of bearish candles all week long, which can give an indication of a reversal, which if you look at it along here, may give us something that looks like a head and shoulder pattern, which could leave us with a big reversal along the line. So the big picture aside, the candle that closed yesterday closed as a rejection candle on the daily time frame. It's sharp. That's a doji, a very confirmed doji. So technically, we should still be expecting a bearish movement on the dollar. So in other words, if today, well, since we are bearish on the dollar, if you're looking at an instrument like, okay, let's start with the USD CHF. So USD CHF is still having a rising wedge, trading around a resistance level. Technically, I've been bearish on this. I still maintain my bearish outlook today on the USD CHF. So the GBP USD is bullish technically. So if the data by 8 o'clock this morning comes out good for the British pound, then that means that our technical and fundamental, is aligning. Now for the technical for the GBP USD, this is my outlook. I drew this yesterday. Price is in an overall uptrend. Price making a series of higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and price returned back to that higher low yesterday. So technically, we should be seeing a move to the upside. At least price touched the tip of this previous low. At least that's the body. You can see that rejection candle at least made a touch there. So technically, we should be seeing a move to the upside. Except if the news comes out bad, price may return to this zone and still break out eventually. So either ways, I'm still holding on to a bullish outlook on the GBP USD. So by 8 o'clock this morning, which is roughly some 40 minutes away from now, if the data is released from the United States and it comes out good for the British pound, that will support what we are seeing technically, and we'll see a bullish movement. But on the other hand, like I said, what if the data comes out bad? We don't have a control over these things. We just analyze based on our experience and the information available. If it comes out bad, yes, price may drop to this support zone, and from there we should still anticipate a breakout to the upside. So either way it goes, I still maintain a bullish outlook on the GBP USD. So we're bullish on the GBP USD for today. Now I'm also looking at Euro AUD. Now since we're bullish on the GBP USD, we're also bullish on the Euro USD. The format is the same thing as that of the GBP USD. Euro USD is equally in an uptrend on the 4-hour uptrend, and price came back to test that support zone. So technically, we are looking for an uptrend, a continuation, a bullish continuation on the Euro USD. So again on 1 hour, now there's no fundamental around this one, but technically I'm expecting a break. It's possible we may end up with an inverse head and shoulder, but ultimately I'm still expecting a breakout to the upside. So we're bullish on both the Euro USD and the GBP USD. We're bearish on the dollar, so that cut across both USD CHF and the USD JPY. Somebody saying, is that support zone on Euro USD not an order block? If you're looking for another block, it should be around here. But then this came out as a rejection candle, so for me, I'm not looking at that for now. For the person asking about USD JPY, let me not skip it. This is the USD JPY. It's been uptrend for some time, and going to the daily time frame, this is a resistance. So we're bearish on the dollar, and that's still reflective on the USD JPY. This is the 1 hour. So price already broke out below the trend line, but RSI is still clearly above 50, MACD is still clearly above 0. But in the course of the day, if price is able to break out below this zone, we should see a major breakout. It all depends on the market volatility, but we need price to break below that support zone to trigger a sell on the USD JPY. But technically, we're bearish on the USD JPY. Okay, now for those asking, let me run through the practices that I'll run through my analysis and I'll take requests. So I won't be jumping in and out of analysis. Let me run through the ones I'm talking about, then I'll take your requests for the ones you want me to check for you. Okay, so I've gone through the dollar index, the GBP USD, the Euro USD, the USD CHF, the USD JPY. All right. Now I want to look at some major ones that have a high probability. Very, very high probability. I'll start with the Euro AUD. Now this is Euro AUD on the 4-hour time frame, and the overall trend is bearish. Price makes a series of lower high, lower high, lower high up there, and finally price hit this region as a third lower high, the second lower high, third lower high. And coincidentally, that region also, there is a resistance. So we end up having a confluence between the trend line and the resistance, all of them pointing to the bearish direction. The trend line is pointing us to a bearish direction. The resistance is that bearish. So technically, the overall trend is very, very bearish. And if we zoom out, we'll see that the last pattern here, last previous candle formed a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. Third reason why we're looking for a downtrend. So technically, we are very, very bearish on the Euro AUD. And we can come over here. On 1 hour, I'm seeing a head and shoulder. Though I think it should be clearer on 30 minutes or 15. Let's try the 30 minutes. All right, it's clearer. Shoulder, head, second shoulder. Then we're expecting a breakout. So we're expecting a breakout on Euro AUD. And I tell you, it's a high probability setup. So I think I want to look at the entry around the 1 hour time frame. So let's go back to 1 hour. So we want to wait for RSI. No, one price breaks out below that support zone and RSI below 50, possibly MACD below 0, and we're going to see a crash on the Euro JPY. Targets. We're expecting price to target Fibonacci 23.6 at 28 pips, Fibonacci 38.2 at 100 pips, and Fibonacci 50 at 150 pips. Now, at least some of these levels are possible today. 23.6 and 38.2 possibly may hit those levels today. So let's watch out. We are very bearish on the Euro AUD. Now, I know somebody is asking me about, I think, AUD USD also. We'll get to that. Now, Euro AUD JPY also. Now, this is inversely, negatively correlated to the Euro AUD. So I will advise you take just one, don't trade both. Now, if you check, this is the AUD JPY. The overall trend here is bullish. Price making a series of higher lows, and the third time price make a higher low. It's a confluence between a support and a bullish engulfing candlestick, giving us an overall bullish outlook. So flip down to 1 hour, and we have an inverse, an inverse head and shoulder, which should trigger us to the upside. So we're bullish on the AUD JPY. So it depends. The choice is yours, which one you want to trade out of these two. Either you want to sell Euro AUD, you want to trade AUD JPY. That's your decision. Or whichever one triggers first out of the two. But please, I will advise against selling Euro AUD and buying AUD JPY. That's a no-no. Just pick one out of the two. Now, whatever AUD does, NZD does same. So we're equally bullish on the NZD JPY. Not just because they do the same thing, because the setup is also clear on the NZD JPY. So this is the NZD JPY. On the 1 hour, it's trading around the support zone with a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. So we're expecting a breakout to the upside. We'll take it down again to 1 hour likewise. And okay, let's go down to 15 minutes. It's not giving me a clear falling wedge, but trendline alone will suffice. Trendline alone will suffice. All right, so price has broken out above the upper trend line. RSI is clearly above 50. MACD is slightly above 0. But there's a minor support turn resistance here. We don't want to get caught in all that. So I'll just put a zone around that area, and we want to wait for price to clearly break above that zone. But either way it goes, we're bullish on the AUD JPY, the NZ JPY, and we're bearish on the Euro AUD. All right, so that's all from my end. Let me quickly do a little recap. This morning I've analyzed the dollar index and I said I'm bearish on the daily time frame. I'm bearish on the USD CHF. I'm bearish on the USD JPY. I'm bullish on the Euro USD. I'm bullish on the GBP USD. I'm bearish on the Euro AUD, while I'm bullish on AUD JPY and NZD JPY. So pay attention to all these instruments I've mentioned. At least most of them will move in the course of the day in the direction analyzed. All right, so I'm now taking requests which I'm seeing in the comment section. Lama is asking, what about gold? So let's check out gold. Now, don't forget we're bearish on the dollar index, so we should look at gold. Now, I know gold is always negatively correlated to the dollar, but then there are times when there could be some inconsistencies in the market that does not make that to be so. Most especially where there's an ongoing war between Israel, United States combined against Iran. So that's really moving the market. Though for gold has not been reacting as expected. Technically, we should have a kind of a medium term bullish movement on gold. This is the reason why I'm saying that on the daily time frame, price recently we had the rejection candle on the daily time frame on this previous resistance turn support. So technically, we should be on a kind of a long-term bullish movement. But then we know that this gold is fundamentally driven. We will only have price go a lot higher if the hostility and the tension between all these parties I mentioned, if it continues. But it looks like at the moment they're trying to, find a way to have dialogue to end the war. If they declare a ceasefire, gold will drop. If the war escalates, gold will go up. Well, like I said, from recent findings, it looks like everybody, including Trump, is beginning to get tired of the whole thing. So we need to trade gold with a lot of caution. Even though technically we're seeing something that looks bullish, the fundamentals can override that technical. Now, on the 1 hour, this is what I'm seeing on the 1 hour time frame. The last candle here is a rejection candle. And we have a valid resistance in that zone. So let's flip down to 15 minutes time frame, possibly 5 minutes. I draw a trend line. Even though the technical outlook is bullish, we may have a slight bearish movement before that happens. So I'm holding on to a bearish outlook on gold. It's a temporary one. Wait for your RSI below 50, MACD below 0 before you trigger. I say one, price needs to break out below this lower trend line. So technically, we are bearish on gold. All right, so I responded to the person asking about gold. That's Lamar. USD JPY, I've responded to that. AUD USD, you have a trade. Okay, Emmanuel, what direction are you? The dollar is bearish, so we should be looking at a bullish movement on the AUD USD. But then let's check it out. All right, so this is the AUD USD. Let's check out the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, there is a resistance right here. Okay, you can see price touched the resistance briefly. Here it's very obvious. Now price is back to that resistance, but now as a support. So we flip down to 1 hour. So with a resistance on the weekly time frame, Resistance turn support. On the 1 hour, we're looking at a bullish breakout. We're having some kind of like an inverse head and shoulder, not so clear though. But then I'm bullish on the AUD USD. And that falls in line with the fact that we said we're bearish on the dollar index. So we're very much in tune technically with what the market is saying. Just wait for a clear breakout above, RSI above 50, possibly MACD above 0. So we're bullish on the AUD USD. And I think that answers, who is the person asking about AUD USD? All right, Emmanuel, so you have a trade. The question is, which direction is your trade? Are you buying or are you selling? If you are selling, well, that may be in the wrong direction. What I'm seeing is AUD USD gaining strength. Okay, Lamar, we've talked about gold. Godson, we've talked about the GBP USD. I'm estimating a buy. Can you confirm this, please? Don't take a buy until the data from the retail sales from the United Kingdom comes out by 8 a.m. this morning. We said we were bullish on the GBP USD. We're only buying also if the data comes out as actual greater than forecast. That means at that point, there's a confluence between the fundamental and the technical. Then you can take a buy. So just hold on till 8 a.m. and see the outcome of the news from the United Kingdom. Okay, please, sir, is it true to an extent? That's Rex Daniel, that whenever Trump speaks, the dollar tends to strengthen. It depends on what he's saying, the context of what he's saying. But then rationally, a president will not say what will make the economy, to go down. So it depends on the context of what he's saying, the body language, the exact words he used. That is what will determine, the direction the market will go. So I can't tell you it has to be positive all the time. Though positive will favor the economy, but it depends on what he's saying, the interpretation of what he's saying that will determine the direction of the market. And that tells you how powerful Donald Trump is. Not only him, central bank governors also, when they make speeches, the market, responds to their speeches. Okay, I think I've responded to everyone. I've responded to all requests right here. All right, so that'll be all from the analysis this morning. Please take note of the instruments I mentioned, especially the Euro AUD. Pay a lot of attention. You can see now that anything AUD, AUD JPY is bullish, AUD USD is bullish, Euro AUD is bearish. Like I said, just pick one out of them, out of those AUD pairs. If you're selling Euro AUD, then please don't bother about AUD USD, vice versa. So that tells you that the AUD is actually the key instrument we're trading today. Don't forget to join us by 12:30 for another analysis session. And later today by 4 p.m., we're having a webinar, Auto Chartist Advanced Strategies. You need a software that can help you scan the market. Auto Chartist is a market scanner. All the things I'm doing manually for you, Auto Chartist will do it in an automated way. It's an AI that scans the market for trading opportunities using price action principles, and it makes trading a lot easier. You can just be having your daily activities. You don't need to get glued to the charts. Just get your scanner, your market scanner, which is an auto chartist, to scan the market and provide you trading opportunities. So join us by 4 p.m. for that webinar today. All right, we'll end the analysis here. Take care and have a great day ahead. Bye bye.
Bye bye.